Hi, everybody. My name is Madelyne Beckles, and I am the Curatorial Assistant of Youth and Engagement at the Art Gallery of Ontario. Today, I'm joined by Meech Boakye, and they are going to be in conversation with me about a special dessert recipe that they've created for our New Year's Eve countdown. Before we get started, I'd like to first acknowledge that the Art Gallery of Ontario operates on land that is territory of the Anishinaabe-Mississauga Nation and is also the territory of the Wendat and Haudenosaunee. The Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant is an agreement between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Anishinaabe Three Fires Confederacy to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Toronto is also governed by a treaty between the federal government of Canada and the Mississaugas of the New Credit Anishinaabe Nation. Toronto has always been a center of trading for First Nations. So, hi, Meech. It's great to see you. Thank you for joining us. And I wanted to first start by asking you how you got into cooking. Like, did you start when you were a kid? What's your relationship to food?
I have a sort of interesting relationship with food. I'm sure most people who sort of grew up female probably do.
Mm-hmm.
And food was, for a while, not something that I enjoyed eating. It was something that was either a reward or I felt guilty about eating it. And, you know, when I started living on my own and I started having to cook for myself, I realized that I needed to make things that made me feel good. Otherwise, it really didn't. Like, I felt pretty awful just having like frozen pizza or chicken fingers. Like, it didn't feel good. So about last year, I started getting into cooking a little bit more seriously, just to spend some time at home and really do things with my hands. I'm an illustrator for work, and that made me be on my computer a lot. And when I wanted to take a break from that, I was like, okay, what do I do with all this time? I need something to do. So cooking was that. And I started with bread.
Wow, that's ambitious.
I thought it was a challenge. And I thought, you know, if I can get good at bread, I can probably do anything else.
Yeah.
And so I started with bread, and it made me get really interested in doing things from scratch. Not just because it took a sort of meticulous energy, like you needed to sort of be with this thing and be in the moment and work on these things, but it allowed me to get a bit closer to where my food's coming from. The sort of labor that goes into growing it, making it, packaging it, all of these things, I felt very disconnected from it, sort of alienation from that labor. And doing things from scratch allowed me to figure out a little bit more how to connect myself with it. That also led to gardening, that led to foraging, and some of these other practices that made me get a little bit closer to my food. So yeah, it's been a pretty all-encompassing thing. I really just wanted to eat better, and somehow it's turned into a very almost spiritual thing where it's like, I now feel
really holistic.
Yeah, it feels like you know, getting closer to my food has really helped me mentally as well, and helped me get through these winters, especially now, which, you know, we've probably seen tons of memes now about people cooking and baking bread in quarantine, but it's kind of real. It's a nice way to spend your time. So yeah,
it's super grounding.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned you're an illustrator, and I know that you also have other aspects to your practice. So do you see the cooking as being part of that? If so, how? Or is it something that is really just for your kind of personal growth?
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, because it's something that I'm sort of getting through right now, is trying to figure out where I place cooking and gardening and these things that, especially throughout quarantine, you know, when it started, I felt like making art wasn't relevant. I felt like, why would I be making art when we're in a crisis? And yet I was still drawn to making these things that allowed me to make work. I don't know exactly what I'm calling it yet. But I think I see it in this way that a lot of my work has to deal with healing healing from alienation, healing from sort of petrochemical landscapes that were a part of sort of extractive landscapes. And I see these practices as a way to just be in the moment, and that may be all they need. Sometimes I think putting a sort of reflective or academic lens on them, it loses that sort of momentary presence which is all I'm trying to do, just trying to spend a moment doing something. So they are part of my practice and they aren't. I'm in the middle of figuring out what they are and how much they mean to me. But I've realized that, and it sounds a little bit corny, but it's true. Like, there is an amount of care and love that goes into it that I really appreciate. Like, there's some sort of, the care that I put into it is important to me, and that seems like something that I should continue focusing on. So, yeah. I don't really have an answer yet. I'm working on it.
No, it's beautiful though. I really appreciate that kind of mindfulness being the through line between the practice and the food. It's awesome. So you made an amazing recipe for us and our audiences to try at home. Nanaimo bars, which are like very distinctly Canadian. What inspired you to make these, and how did you come up with the recipe and the idea?
Well, so I am Canadian, but I've grown up all over the place. I lived in the States. I lived in Brazil for a while. And Nanaimo bars have followed us, me and my family, all around those places. There was some sort of celebration of the world type festival we had back in Brazil, because it was an international school, and my mom made hundreds of Nanaimo bars, and it was really funny to have this like very distinctly Canadian thing in Brazil. But really it comes from my great grandmother's recipe, which I've sort of adapted from. They come from this really small town outside of Winnipeg in Manitoba, and there were like 2 places you could get food there that wasn't the grocery store. One of them was this place that sold roasted chicken, which is like a baked and roasted chicken, and the other was a bakery, which is not in business anymore, but the 2 things we would get are these dinner rolls and Nanaimo bars. And so every summer I would go back to visit my grandmother, I would have these Nanaimo bars, and they've been sort of with me for a very long time. They're incredibly sweet, and my grandmother wouldn't even let us have more than like a half of a bar sometimes, because she's like, you can't have it. It's so sweet. But there's something really nice about the layer of chocolate, the icing, and then this really kind of somewhat grounding chocolate coconut base that when you eat it together, it tastes incredible. And honestly, sometimes I even take the layers apart. I'll like take off the chocolate, I'll lick the icing, and then I'll eat the cookie. But no, it's a recipe that's been with me for a while, and so it's been really interesting to not improve upon it, but sort of adjust it to my tastes. Because I'm really getting into recipe testing and finding out that that like making something according to my taste makes it incredible, because it's mine. So it's been really fun working on that. And I've been working with my little brother. He's been a taste tester for me, because he's in the sort of age range of folks that are going to try this recipe. So I want it to be good to him too. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to try your spin. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to know, what are your plans for celebrating the new year? What are you going to get up to?
Probably nothing. Normally in my family we have Chinese food on like takeout on the new year, and we spend it together. Today, this year I'll be with my partner in Portland. It'll be our first day moving in, our second day there moving. And we'll probably just get some takeout and stay in, because that's what we're doing. Maybe go for a walk, depending on how cold it is. But I'm kind of interested in seeing a quiet New Year's. Like, it's normally such a loud, busy holiday that there's something nice about people sort of enjoying it indoors that might be cool to see people's windows, or whatever.
Yeah, totally. And that's so exciting to be in a new space, in a new place. It is
something
the celebration
to look forward to. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, not too many plans, but that'll be a big thing in itself. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And I encourage everybody to try out Meech's recipe for Nanaimo bars. And we hope to see you at the New Year's Eve countdown on the 31st.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
have a
right,
good
thanks.
day.
Thank you.